4th grade. Going to talk about special kinds of lines today. 3 kinds: intersecting, parallel, and perpendicular. Long words, not too complicated of concepts. So please write this down as leave yourself lots of space and make this the title of your next page. And unpause when you're ready. Give me your total concentration. All right. So real fast, lines, let me remind you, lines go on and on and on and on and on and on forever in both directions. They don't stop like line segments do. Remember, line segments are like that. They're part of a line, but they end. Sometimes we draw the points on the end, sometimes we don't. We're going to be talking about lines today and special types. All right, so I'm going to start with the word intersecting. Intersect is a verb. It means kind of meet or cross. And like when you drive down the road and you stop because you get to another road, that's called an intersection. And intersecting lines are kind of like that. They're where two things cross or meet. So let me show you some intersecting lines. Yes and no, and I think that'll help get the point. So intersecting lines are lines that meet or cross somewhere. So like for instance, that line and that line are intersecting because they intersect right here. They have a point that they both touch where they cross. Those are intersecting. This line and this line are intersecting. They meet right here. All right. A weird one that they do, let me show you another example. This line and this line are also intersecting, which is weird because you look at them and you say, well, they don't ever meet or cross. Those are not intersecting. They don't touch, they don't meet, they don't cross. But they do, because remember, lines go on and on and on and on and on forever in both directions. And these lines would keep going that way and that way. And they would meet eventually. So even if you don't see the point where they intersect, if they would intersect eventually, they're intersecting. So again, I could do like this and like this and say these two lines are intersecting. Even though I don't have the space to show you where, somewhere way out there eventually they would intersect. So any two lines that would meet or do meet are intersecting. Lines that are not intersecting would be like this one and this one. No matter how far those go, they would never end up meeting. There's never going to be a point at which these two lines intersect. I don't see one, and there wouldn't be one if I kept going. Same with like these. Right? No matter how far I go, those lines will never end up meeting each other, ever and ever. All right? So that's an intersecting line. Parallel lines are the opposite of that. Parallel means they never meet. So my examples switch. Lines that are parallel would be like this one and this one. Oh, I don't know if I drew that as well. Let's see. How about I draw one closer? That one and that one. If I drew them right, no matter how long you keep going, they would never meet. And also, they don't have to be right next to each other. Like also, like I could do like this line and this line are parallel. You know, they would just both keep going on and on and on forever up and would never meet. They don't meet and they would never meet. That means they are parallel, P-A-R-A-L-L-E-L. Not parallel would be lines that intersect, like those two. Those are not parallel. And remember, the harder example to remember is ones where you don't see them intersect, like those two. but eventually they would. Somewhere way out over here, if you extended them, eventually somewhere out there they would meet. All right, doesn't mean you have to be able to even draw it, but if they would ever meet, they're not parallel, they're intersecting. So parallel is the opposite of intersecting. All right. The third one, perpendicular, P-E-R-P-E-N-D-I-C-U-L-A-R, perpendicular lines are special intersecting lines. So they intersect and right angle. So for instance, perpendicular lines you usually see drawn like this. They intersect, and where they intersect is a right angle. Like right there, there's a right angle, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. So they meet and they make a perfect right angle. So I would say this is intersecting and perpendicular both. Another example, they don't, another example, I guess I'll do one, they could be down here. Right there, right angle, right angle, right angle, right angle. Those are perpendicular. And they don't have to be straight up and straight across. As long as they make a 90-degree angle, you don't have to measure it. I don't know if I'll do this one perfectly. But, as long as wherever they do cross makes a 90-degree angle like that, if you measured it in that, they're still perpendicular. All right. Things that are not perpendicular are parallel lines. Those are not perpendicular. Neither are lines that intersect but don't make a right angle. Those are not either. So these are intersecting but not parallel. These are intersecting and parallel. Okay. So let's look at this. One more I do. So sometimes we might look at these and let's say, well, let's find a set of each. Let's find a set of parallel. Let's find a set of intersecting. And let's find a set of perpendicular. All right, so here I go. So first thing, I'll do my parallel in red. I see those. This line right here, looks like line N, is parallel to line O. No matter how far I extended those two lines, they would never meet. Ever, 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 ever. Sound good? Let's see, intersecting lines. How about this one, line L? And this one I haven't used yet, line M. Those intersect right here, and they are intersecting. They have an intersection. I'm going to erase for perpendicular. So perpendicular means perp. I'll write it out. Perpendicular means they intersect and make 90-degree angles or right angles. So these are hard to see. Oh, no, I see one right there. Look, they even labeled it for me. There's a right angle right there, which means this one is perpendicular with this one. And then they make a right angle there, and there, and there, and there. So those are intersecting. They intersect here, and they're perpendicular. All right. Open up your notes, and let's do some examples together. I actually think for the we do's, I don't think there's anything different to do than the I do's. So I actually may just go back to those. I'm not sure what else. Well, I know what we can do. I'll have to pause some so I don't run out of time, but here's what we'll do. So let's make a we do. Let's make one of these for parallel lines. All right. So put that in the middle. And let's do this kind of along the outside. So parallel lines are lines that never meet and never would meet. We should say intersect. Never would intersect. So examples would be this one and this one. Oops, that's not very good. Or this one and this one. Or this one and this one. No matter how far you extended, they would never meet. Non-examples would be lines that intersect. Or, more importantly, harder to remember, lines that don't intersect where you see them, but would intersect eventually if you extended them. All right. So I'm short on time, so if you need to write these down, I'm going to let you pause and write these down. Now, I don't really have anything extra to put here. I'm going to go to the next one, but you pause if you still need to write these down because I'm short on time. Okay. Let's do again for intersecting lines. So they meet or cross. That's what intersect means. So examples include ones that obviously cross, right there, or ones that don't cross but would eventually. Like this one and this one, I don't see where they cross, but like if I kept going over here, eventually they would meet back there. So even if you can't see them cross, if they would cross, they're still intersecting. Non-examples are ones that never meet. Parallel lines. They're opposites. Intersecting and parallel are literally opposites. So anything that was an example on the last page is a non-example here, and vice versa. That's parallel to that. Again, go ahead and pause if you need to. I got to go on because I'm a little short on time. So perpendicular lines are intersecting and 90 degrees. So they are ones like this. That's the most common. You see them cross like a perfect up and down and a perfect across. But they don't have to be. They can also, as long as they make a right angle. They can be too. So like these, make sure you know right angle. Ones that are not are ones that intersect at a different angle or are parallel. All right. Again, pause if you need to write your examples down. I'm going to go on to the next page. So here's this again. So just to remind you, if you have some colors handy, that would be particularly good. Let's identify a parallel, intersecting, and perpendicular set. I'm going to pause and show you what I'm going to pause. You can pause too and draw this. I'm going to pause and show you a parallel set in orange. There they are. And an O would go on forever and never intersect each other. They would be parallel as long as they went on. I'm going to erase. I'm going to show you a intersecting set in blue. There you go. Those are intersecting right there. And I'm going to pause again and show you a perpendicular set in orange. No, red. Oh, there it is. They meet at a right angle right there. These are also, I could have done this one too. These also meet at a right angle. So there you go. Perpendicular, parallel, and intersecting lines. I am out of time and I feel like I had to rush pretty fast. So please, please, please go back and look at the other examples if you need to make sure you got this by tomorrow. See you then.